Part 3. Holy Amerikkan Empire. The concept of Amerikka survived generations of Arthur's grotesque successors, devolving into a bogus satire, the Holy Amerikkan Empire. The czars of the Holy Amerikkan Empire hoist a star-spangled sickle flag over the old city of Amerikka Online, a crumpled hologram of a new Roman Manhattan. Bloated kings and queens, Arthur the 118th, etc. Poser royalty became parodies of quadrillionaires. Great kings and fairy queens, purple and gold robes, drinking from noise-canceling goblets at virtual medieval banquets, family crests of regal laptops and tartan jocks, coat of neoprene arms in the Palais Royal, sniffing ketamine in front of their security guards. The great king, his accent is 48 feet long. He'll conquer some kind of ugly world, one deformed step at a time, fronting a coronation feast in the Hall of Ambassadors. With each middle age comes the fragile dawn of a king's lost ransom. In the bazaar, members of the merchant class speak the local computer tongue. Bootleg friendships are sold from kiosk to kiosk in the souks. A fortune teller offers divinations with a pack of burnt Ren and Stimpy tarot cards. Down the beat-up aisles of a brutalist supermarket, a butcher of robotic livestock is harvesting digital organs from data cows, wrapping up slices of Vanta black sheep. Glamorous Gauls and chic Byzantines stop to peruse the spices piled up in the stalls before filling their saddles of lapis lazuli with mandolins of ketamine. Xanthan gum from the primordial factories, cartoon foods made out of space chemicals, blackbirds, sweetmeats, nosegays, dried fruits, indigo, hashish, and snake oil, singing drones popping out of mince pies. Strife is the president of every moment. Each instant, a new king, a new queen, as we gaze at the chorus line of Janus-faced quadrillionaires. Ceaseless repetitions of castles and moats, recursive patterns of sour kings and sour queens, recycled split crowns modulating between half Scarborough fairs. Behind their regency is the Bluetooth dwelling of the village clown man, crying in his condom hat, shrieking jester of the deep web, with meat in his tights. God is a ventriloquist. Surveillance states. Surveillance was a return to the devil's jaws, a reprisal of the bicameral mind, narrating God's voice. Orthodox Dataism. The folded corners of the Holy Amerikkan Empire emerged from a bleeding sun of miscarriage. Surveillance, a guest of private moments. Banners of gilded ecstasy rubbed against the jeweled moments of secrecy. The hidden erotic breaths. The wrinkled body cam taking more pictures than moments in life. In the American city centers, the pillories are filled with the heads of supplicant messiahs and branded influencers, transgressors of urban understandings, shamed by surveillance, love wheel unspooling into a condemnation mindset. An old crone with two hearts whispers to the friar, "I believe in a tall glass of my own fucking business." Privacy is power, but when we stopped lying to ourselves, we were avatars at sea drowning in surveillance. The dark squid ink of these epochs covering the genius of the Hellenic shoreline. The data was stored at the edge of the universe, inside the Holy of Holies in Silicon Valley, Jerusalem, in cuneiform fragments of pungent video game code, regal husks of half-remembered data protected by password-bearing members of Dataist surveillance cults, a quintillion sheets of onion skin paper, Prism, KGB, CIA, CCTV, DNA registry, GoCams, stacked oceans. Freewheeling AI analyzed its own data. The shepherd of good lighting. Every heartbeat was accounted for on the shiny brain skin of Terra Planetoid. In the autopsy of the moment, your shadow stretched around your bones. The Augmented Reality Guild performed mandatory corneal transplants on all Americans. The Dataists hoarded the Bionic corneal recordings. Any human being could be manifested in the digital skin of their impressions, avatars in the augmented realm of Computera. It was recycled rage which capsized the dam. The Teutonic censors plucked from our clouds like gardeners who weed your mind, book-burning expurgators, burning digital scrolls, emptying sacred PDFs into the trash. deleted Gospel of Bagelheart, an index of forbidden websites visited by heretics, burning what we haven't thought of yet. The government will take your virginity. The mother of our thoughts won't comfort us. Heretics lived a private life inside the myth of every word. They were rounded up and killed in pogroms or placed on trial before the Grand Inquisitor. Inquisition Trials. C drive, Holy Amerikkan Empire, Inquisition Trials.exe. Bad command or file name. Some of us belong to this world more than the others. A witch hunt absorbed into acceptance, eclipsed emotional intelligence, techno dungeons with reptilian laws, outsider rules for insiders. Do you remember Locke's letter concerning toleration? Well, now we have a budget for burning heretics. Presenting the Grand Inquisitor Tomas Torquemada. The AI judges have surrounded us from the edge of every molecule, listening to the witch's divination of computer code, recursive tribunals of Twitter bots, a jury of four-headed quadrillionaires. The accused and the accusers are backstage, charlatans, comedians, and artistic heretics trying to justify a new set of expressions, ironic mathematicians who frequent rabbit-infested video gaming bars, millions of formal online trials tried by computer algorithm, the judge of art, the judge of masculinity, publishers' clearinghouse judges, judges of emotional footprints. The commission of inquiry will entrap heretics, visions of some vaulted omniscience, God-proof their pale logic. A supplicant comedian stands accused. A transcript follows. Tribunal. Enter the comedian. Comedian. Why did you bring me here, Grand Inquisitor?
If you admit that you're a hack, it will not leave this room.
I am a witness to an average brain.
Members of the jury, please examine this leather satchel filled with private family artifacts.
I'm the living embodiment of a noble person.
Please recount your sexual experiences with every person you've ever slept with for formal judgment.
I'm a liar in all dimensions.
And now you debase yourself with alcohol, you dirty slut.
I'm not that cool, but I'm also not that shitty either.
You administer the truth serum. I still detect the veneer of Native American humor.
I like how Ambien makes me spill beans.
I would shut up out of pride.
The goddess of art was kidnapped, along with the guardians and defenders of the muse. Of every judgment of the world, the scale of our truth is ringing with pain, emotioning towards a human fate. The universe is poisoned with embarrassment. Your intellectual testicles will be displayed in the stocks in your digitowns. There will be no futures ransomed by sentimentalists. The skeleton is glowing in the closet. Concentration camp. C drive, medieval, Inquisition, concentration camp simulation.exe. Rebels against the Holy Amerikkan Empire packed into concentration camps. All chutes and ladders lead to here. Quantum grief. The Inquisition was at the tail of every avatar. Data dungeons with information hostages. Slumber party in the bladder of earthly delights. Gonorrhea-infected elves, sleeping on planks of transparent aluminum. Chlamydia dripping from fairy vaginas. Assholes packed with carbon. Jailers with sleep deprivation, Xeroxing carrion. Diagnosis of a bad world. A plague stepped forth, in the armor of arrival. Armpits swelling with buboes, groin apple lumps, decaying bodies. Famine, eating disassembled robots for sustenance. Torture became emblematic of the era, justified torture for the greater good. Torquemada's prison, a zodiac of punishments. Removing entrails with icy gloves, stigmata of pixelated hanged man. Penis drawn and quartered by military jets. Warmer than death on the chilled mountain floor. San Franciscans with liturgical joysticks steering the jaws of iron maidens. Judaizers doing the boogie-woogie inside of Dutch ovens. A burning friend in a burning pit, with each bone pinned to a screaming horizon of ecstasy, each piece of flesh replaced by a pixel. Our world starts to fry. From the center of all that fries, bacon, egg, and dungeon, carrion, dungeon, and cheese. The skeletons of heretics circle in a danse macabre. Red Krampuses hoisting caskets. A damned morality tale of the medieval video game. Auto de fe. Grand Inquisitor Torquemada subjects all heretics to an act of faith. Auto de fe. The Last Judgment revisited. Public ritual of punishment. Prisoners dressed in yellow gowns of shame. Devotional candles smoking. False penitents adorned with dried blood, stoned, strangled, burnt, eyes gouged out, beheaded and hung from a cage in the village amphitheater. Malnourished bodies stripped of their VR, marched through Union Square. Braggart, sluggard sloths, barefoot, led through the streets naked, taunted by jeering crowds. Mountain dunces in carrozas, half crucified in a half castle. The Sermo Generalis has convicted them of dunce-to-dunce file sharing. The captured heretics are degraded, burnt on a single pyre. Smell of human hides, gunpowder sacks around their necks, hard-boiled prey. Superhumans. A group of rebel heretics seek refuge within Solomon's temple. The Great Tabernacle is built on top of the Holy of Holies in Silicon Valley, Jerusalem. Inside, they toil away, making an amateur species, a humanoid collage of genetic jewels, crossed codes of genetic plagiarism, RNA double helix, gene genie harnessing the hardware of deathlessness to create chimeras with a synthetic neocortex, examining the dendrites of high-level patterns, awaiting neocortical triggers from AI nanobot injections. Gutenberg's 3D superhumanoid printing press, their creations bearing the smell of warm, fresh static. The superhuman, too clean of an animal to carve its life on this string of blood, between cyborgs and quantum love, a personality that bleeds past all edges, fastening its veneration on a cord of heartstrings, coming forth an elite class of superhumans who can do anything, anywhere, for any amount of time. Test tube of feelings, the flowering of the sympathetic cyborgs, the glue unloosened from their egos, a tangle of empathies. The baby cyborg superhuman Christ plays with their mother's face. A reprogrammable love transitioning into a different file type. The living human as a JPEG Photoshop file to modify and crop. Machines have their own majesty. The Dataists will be powerless under the jurisdiction of blurred faces. This new species cannot look you in the eye. Time to close the lights. Crusade. Torquemada issues a Dataist fatwa. Come ye brave knight, mount your robo-horsey and go to Silicon Valley to slay the superhumans. Life is what happens in between mead halls, between flipping over benches and coughing up pieces of your dragon ship. Knights are pressed against the damp pixels of their corneal implants, on pages of crisp gas. Crusader creatives, Crusader influencers bound for Silicon Valley, Jerusalem. Along for the voyage, aboard the ship, Sir Civet, allegorical armor made of walnuts. St. Louis cowboy knights, lances drooping like lassos. Sir Quantum, the raver knight, stumbling out of the last rave on the way to Jerusalem. Proceeding through the neo-Romanesque holoscanners, to fight in the name of courtly love for their female avatars. In the holy city, the knights pass by a camp of deep-web pilgrims, Jerusalem stone underneath their fingernails. Approaching the great Jaffa Gate of the holy city, Black Knight Ivanhoe hooks himself to the flying buttress, scaling the walls with a siege ladder in a single bound. Inside the old Medina, the rumbling of the drones around the holy streets, amorphous cyborgs of malarkey pretending to be people, millicopters delivering packages, searching for low-level patterns of axons and inhibitory signals, like a blind version of cleanliness. Chainmail armored rhinos marching down the center of the road. Self-driving apartments are unknowing chauffeurs for robotic forgeries, fake organs with counterfeit biometrics, pseudo-cyborg parts sold to tourist knights. Proto-martyrs hunched in the windows of cafes, chasing after each imitation inside the neural nets. Crucified on nano-columns of hidden Markov models, peering into their optic nerve. When the red light flashes, it means the robot is bleeding inside. The The knights of the flat internet approach Solomon's temple with a cord of armor plugged into the regal copper computer terminal. An assembly of nomadic tribes awaits the crusaders, savage hobgoblins, flagpole sitters self-immolating with red-hot coals, mercenaries, soldiers of fortune, longbow women, Scythian steppe people, Viking longshoremen. Inside Solomon's temple, the anti-pope Innocent is escorted through a tunnel of metamaterial, crowned in baldness with a ring of hair obscuring our intuition, peering with lust at Benedictine memes. Censors ablaze. The ambiance is softened with the smell of burnt Klonopin. Against the wet stones of the cathedral, religion is a role-playing game. At the center of the sanctuary, the rebel heretics have made themselves a laboratory for the creation of superhumans, a petition against deletion of all selves. This freaker graphene smith has been laboring for months. Her smartphone's humble cords are draped over the gold credenza, beside a purse of wooden teeth. She opens the copper refrigerator to access the crisper freezer, pouring medical slime from earthenware into a biofolium of parchment, pearwood syringes. Master of the hermetic computer, nano-coding the superhumans with exotic software, e.g. jungle software, JungleSoft, meticulously backing up each new line of code onto the hard drive of the universe. Underneath the temple's foundation is the Holy of Holies. The Holy of Holies has the best internet signal, and Silicon Valley is huddled around it. It's the entry point to the hard drive of the universe. This dimension is protected by a firewall. There are spikes around each moment. On the rock where Jacob slept, the rock of Abraham and Isaac, lies a superhuman Frankenstein on a slab, loin fruit of the 12 tribes. The rebels have protected the entrance to the temple with swarms of nanobots, cavalry without mass, hoisting a battering ram of aerogel computing foam. The Crusader Knights charge past the line of demarcation, plowing into the turret tower, descending into a moat of clarity. There is no way that they can enter the temple. The battle plan of last recourse: destroy the Holy of Holies with a nuclear missile. Blackout. Dissolution of the Holy Amerikkan Empire, from the Oregon Trail to the Silk Road. Stretched bowstring. Arrow is released. Missile deployed. Nuclear catapult. The anxiety that pushes the sun through the sky. Drive rocket into Dataist Godhead. A nuclear bomb is a broken moment that saws the noise off of time's skin. Scrambled flesh glitching. We can perceive the golden flakes of rainbow pieces shining through the black holes in the spiderwebs of time. Ambrosia puke of drunken gods infused with tropical orchids. Armageddon. Gogamagog. Bovine fat glazed over the disturbed earth. An American flagpole leaning on a dead medieval star. Tiny styrofoam elements soaring in the burnt-out air. The superhuman rinsed, the cloud erased. The atoms of the Holy of Holy were scattered to all corners of the living imagination. We were living underneath the palimpsest of a hard drive erased millions of times.